So you don't, wait, so no, wait. So you don't think we're alone in the universe?
If you can't think we're alone, once you study how common our ingredients of life are in the universe, the atoms of our body, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, they're the three most common chemically active ingredients in the universe. We're not made of special stuff. And we're based on carbon. We're carbon-based life, which is an extremely sticky element that makes molecules all across the periodic table.
Yeah.
So if there was any kind of biology upon which you would base on an element, it would be carbon. And we are such an example of that life. Not only that, life got started almost as fast as it possibly could have in the early Earth. After Earth cooled down from meteor impacts that made us, once it cooled down, complex molecules formed. Within 100 million years, life appeared. So you combine these facts and then you look at the expanse of the 14 billion year age of the universe with 100 billion stars in our galaxy and 100 billion galaxies. To suggest that we are the only life in the universe would be inexcusably egocentric. If you look at the numbers, just first, the ingredients of life on Earth, they're not special. They're made of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. These are the most common ingredients in the universe. So you can't appeal to our special chemistry because it's everywhere. Now, how many locations might you have life? If life existed on a planetary surface, how many planets are out there? Well, we've got an inventory in the making right now. The Kepler telescope, which recently had some mechanical failures, but not before it gave us a list of 1,000 planets out there orbiting stars that are nearby the sun. And that's just in our little pocket of the Milky Way galaxy. So you run the numbers and you realize it would be inexcusably egocentric to suggest that we were alone in the universe. And so anyone who's actually studied the problem would say, sure, the statistics strongly argue in favor of life. Now, whether it's intelligent life that we would call intelligent,
people ask if life is teeming across the galaxy. Where are they? How come they're not just walking into the front door of the White House or visiting us here in New York in Times Square? I have some unorthodox thoughts on that matter. I wonder, first, maybe they have visited us in Times Square, but no one noticed because everybody who kind of hangs out in Times Square is just a little crazy. And then I worried, suppose the aliens visited during Comic-Con and they would land at Comic-Con and everyone is dressed as aliens and nobody notices.
it may be that aliens have searched the universe for other life,
right,
and come to Earth and concluded there's no sign of intelligent life here.
Burn.
Okay.
Burn on us.
We might not be considered among the most intelligent out there.
Okay.
Right. So
you don't think that aliens would find us interesting enough to go through all the trouble to visit us and so forth? And I remember after, he talked about it, he kind of, spoke down on you in a way, and he just disagreed with you. He goes, of course aliens would find us interesting. We find algae interesting, and
No, algae experts find algae interesting. It's that subset of the botanists, that subset of the scientists who find algae interesting. Everybody finds aliens interesting, okay? So it's a matter of scale. But who am I to know what would or wouldn't interest an alien? What I would say is, what kind of an ego must you have to think that a more advanced species, vastly more advanced than we are, as it would have to be if it traveled here, we haven't left low Earth orbit in 50 years. What kind of an ego does it require to believe that aliens would cross the galaxy just to observe us in a very shy way? Okay, like crop circles and all this, that happened when no one was looking.
Yeah,
and
crop circles I've never believed in.
Okay, all right, but okay. Or when we visit Earth, let's only go to the restricted airspace where the Navy flies, and let's make ourselves fuzzy. Here's, you want to lose sleep? Maybe there's life that's so intelligent, it doesn't consider us to be intelligent. We came up with our own definitions of what intelligence is. Imagine they are so brilliant. They look at this as like
Neanderthals.
They wouldn't even deign. They wouldn't even waste their time any more than you walk by a worm in the street that just crawled out gasping for air after a morning rain. Do you say, "Gee, I wonder what the worm is thinking"? I wonder. No, you don't care. You step on the worm, right? The hubris of us to suggest that we are intelligent, no other life on Earth has ever been intelligent, and we can then have a conversation with other intelligent.
By the way, the hubris of us to imagine that aliens would care about us or be curious about us.
Right.
That's hubris. It's like we're so interesting that another species that can travel across the galaxy is going to study our behavior. So just to believe that we are so interesting, that something as advanced as a civilization with flying saucers to cross the galaxy would sit there and want to analyze us. So that's hubris, okay? Let me tell you a couple things. Earth. NASA says we go into space by launching into Earth orbit. Do you know how high above Earth the space station orbits? No, you don't know? I'll tell you. 3/8 of an inch. And we tell ourselves that that's space. Excuse me, that's just driving around the block. Right? And that dude who jumped out of a balloon, oh, the edge of space jump! On this, if the Earth were this size, it'd be 1/16 of an inch above the surface. That's where he jumped. Right there. See that? No, you can't see it because it's 1/16 of an inch. So, on this scale, where's the moon? Is 30 feet away. It's not in this office. It's 3 offices down. On this scale, where is Mars? It's a mile away. Where is the nearest star system? Forget it. So if an alien traversed that distance, and all we're doing is driving around the block, they're more advanced than we are.
Big space news these past couple of weeks. Speaking of beautiful, look at this photograph. Tell me, this is the Cassini spacecraft.
Oh, you don't miss anything. That's cool.
What am I looking
Oh, yeah.
at?
So this is not dust here. This is Earth seen through the rings of Saturn. Earth. And just a reminder, we are a speck in the middle of a cosmic void, occupying what we call Earth. But in fact, if you come upon our solar system from outside, if you're an alien first coming upon our solar system, Earth would be barely noticed by you. You'll notice Saturn, you'll notice Jupiter, and you'll say, what are these balls of rock orbiting closer to the sun? And this was Carl Sagan made a big point of this back in 1990 when he talked about the pale blue dot. He convinced NASA to have Voyager, when it passed Neptune, the last planet in the solar system, to turn its...
Start.
I'm just tell it like it is. He convinced Voyager to turn its camera back towards Earth, and it's what basically amounts to Earth's first ever selfie. And that picture was taken, and there was these pale blue dots sitting in this void, and he wrote a whole book on this. So these pictures from Saturn with Earth is the sort of the modern counterpart to the pale blue dot.
Now, there's going to be a series of 13 flybys of Cassini going inside the rings for the first time.
Cassini's been there for 12 years, and it's now in its final death spiral to descend into Saturn, never to be heard of again.
Wow. So astrophysicists at JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, want to send a message out into the universe to tell intelligent extraterrestrials where we are, and I think with like a map of our genome too. Basically, this is how you build us. Are you in favor of this?
So in the old days, I would have been, but I thought about that, and you wouldn't give your email address to a stranger in the street who is your own species. And now we're going to give the return address to Earth for aliens. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Is it possible for us to hide, though? I mean,
yeah. So that ship has sailed, because ever since the beginning of television waves go to your TV with, remember, the rabbit ears, but they also went out into space.
Right.
So there is a radio bubble expanding at the speed of light that contains our entire culture embedded in what TV shows people watched for the past 50 years.
So the aliens are going to think we have talking horses. Is what's going to be. From Mr.
Talking
Ed,
horses.
my mother, the car.
Yes. All of that. They will decode who and what we are through those signals.
But they'll think we'll have phasers and photon torpedoes too, so they might leave us alone.
They might be a little scared, but I'm pretty sure based on the rest of the data, they will conclude there's no sign of intelligent life on Earth. Same.
How big, by the way, how big would that bubble be? How big?
Right now it's about 80 light years. Going at the speed of light.
Well, the 160 then, right? Because
to be the diameter, correct.
Sure.
So that's already washed over exoplanets that we already know exists within that bubble.
I heard recently that Proxima Centauri, for those who don't know, it's the nearest star to ours, which is a brown dwarf, has a planet around it. Oh, is this a red dwarf? Mm-hmm. My apologies. Yeah. A red dwarf. And that has planets around it that might be in the Goldilocks zone. There might be liquid water possible there.
So in our search for exoplanets, which is now rising through 5,000, by the way, anyone in the audience born since 1995, just quickly raise your hand. Okay, good. So I now knight you all Generation Exoplanet, because that was the year the first exoplanet was discovered, 1995. Before then, we knew of no planets in the universe outside of our 8.
And now thousands, right?
We just passed 5,000 just a couple of weeks ago. So among those, some of them have multiple planet systems.
Yeah.
And when you have multiple planets, you can check, is one of them in the Goldilocks zone or not? And if you're there, you can sustain liquid water. And if you have a ranking of which planets you want to check first for life as we know it, those are where you'll go first.
All the aliens portrayed, nearly all the aliens portrayed, they walk, they talk, they have 2 arms, legs, nose, eyes, mouth, head. Look at E.T., look at the aliens in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Look at, even in the movie series Alien followed by Aliens and that.
Right.
That
Alien Insurrection.
While it didn't specifically have legs, it was vertebrate, right? It had like a face.
Right.
A face is a very vertebrate thing to have.
Yeah.
All right. If you're not a vertebrate in this world, you don't have much of a face.
However, having 2 mouths, a mouth within a mouth, that was not a bad touch.
Well, that's the getting eaten part. Yes. That's a little more terrifying. Okay. So think about it. Amoebas don't have mouths.
Right.
Trees don't have mouths.
Right.
We just keep going down the list. And like I said, the traditional face that we think of, it tends to be a vertebrate phenomenon. And so we are then making aliens vertebrates, okay?
Right.
The movie Arrival, that was not a vertebrate. That was a septopod.
Right, that's right.
Yeah. So I like it when they try to go a little, they step outside of the comfort box.
So I often introduce aliens because they don't have any preconceived notion of who and what we are, and we get a sense of what they might say. Okay,
Sure.
So I imagine...
Theoretical aliens.
Yeah, exactly, theoretical aliens. I can't divulge other... Right. So imagine photosynthesizing sentient aliens, okay? So they're basically sentient plants.
Okay.
And so they're in a spaceship, and they saw that Earth has a good biodiversity of plants, and it's on their tour book. They got rainforests and things, so they come to visit. And then they meet vegetarians who expressly eat plants, and they'll freak out. And it's not just plants. They notice that vegetarians target the reproductive organs of plants, the flowers, the berries, the nuts, all of the things. The plant's just trying to make another version of itself. Nope, let's eat it. In fact, last night I had zucchini blossoms for dinner, okay? The zucchini's just trying to make another zucchini. But no, I ate it. And now, imagine the aliens. They go check in on Whole Foods and they see people shopping in the produce aisle, and then they notice these same vegetarians, they're into infanticide because they're selecting baby carrots, baby spinach, baby artichokes, baby arugula, baby everything. And these aliens, they say, what the hell is going on here on Earth? What? And then they run back. I wonder if, in fact, the human intellect is sufficient to actually decode the full operations of this universe in which we live. And it's not specifically an astrophysical question, it's just more, we are an intelligent species because we defined ourselves that way. We don't have the benefit of another species to compare ourselves with, against whom we might fail miserably. And so when we compare ourselves to chimps, we sit up righteously and say, well, we have poetry and the Hubble telescope and philosophy, and the chimp just stacks boxes to reach a banana. Yet there's only 1% difference in our DNA. But then you'll say, what a difference that 1% makes. And I would say maybe that 1% DNA difference corresponds with an equally small difference in the intelligence between a chimp and humans. And you say, I can't believe that. No. Well, imagine some other species that visits us that's 1% along on that same scale, smarter than us. Consider, the smartest chimp does what our toddlers can do. And there's no way you will explain to a chimp, I'll have dinner ready at 6:30, can you pick up some juice on the way home? The simplest human thoughts are inconceivable to a chimp. And their talents are about what our toddlers can do. So let's get back to this 1% smarter alien that we've discovered. Corresponding this analogy, we now say, what would we look like to them? Well, they would roll Stephen Hawking forward after combing the human species, and they'd say, this one is slightly smarter than the rest because he can do astrophysics calculations in his head like little Timmy over here, who just came home from preschool. Oh, Timmy, you just composed 3 sonnets. Isn't that cute? Let's put it up on the refrigerator door. Oh, you just derived the fundamental law of calculus. Isn't that cute? Put it up on the refrigerator. Their simplest thoughts would transcend our deepest thoughts. And maybe to them, it is obvious what dark matter is and dark energy. Maybe to them, particles popping in and out of existence is a trivial exercise in their understanding of the multidimensional space-time continuum. And we are here groping at the sides of a wall, not knowing how tall, wide, or deep it is, because we have the limits of the human physiology evolved off the plains of Africa, just to try to understand the entire universe. So I lose sleep on that question each night. That being said, if they send radio signals here, the largest radio telescope is going to pick it up first. And you know where that is?
Hold on, let me think. Arizona.
It was once on American soil in Puerto Rico, the Arecibo telescope, but that collapsed out of disuse. And the largest radio telescope in the world is in China.
Wow.
So the first humans that will hear the signals sent by aliens will be Chinese astrophysicists. But we're talking about if they visit.
You know what?
By the way, if you ever meet the aliens, they take you on board.
Yeah.
First, take some photos, okay, first. Second, when they do the sex experiments on you, okay? So here's what you do. That's what they do. We all know that.
Don't you have to check a box or opt in on that? Okay, sure. The probes.
Here's what you do. Tell the alien to say, oh, look over there. And then quickly snatch something off the shelf, like an ashtray or something, put it in your pocket, and then lay it back down on the slab. Hey. Then when they let go of you, you've got something of alien manufacture.
Wow.
How many photographs are taken every day? Everybody's got a smartphone, right? Almost everybody. High resolution. And if you're not taking a photo, you're taking a video. And so if there's something unusual and interesting, you're taking a video of that. You'd think an alien encounter would be rare, but you've got a smartphone and you can stream it. In the old days when people said, did you take pictures of the alien that abducted you? Yeah, but they stole the film.
Or I got the film home and the whole roll was blank because the alien zapped it or whatever. So it's a recording device, but a streaming device is not a recording device. So you can live stream whatever is happening. All right. So you would expect, given how many reports of abductions there were,
Right.
of decades past, that somebody would have that on, that'd be posted by now, and it hasn't been. So this leads me to think strongly that people's imaginations got the better side of their life experience when they came back to report on having been abducted. Okay. Notice how frequently aliens are hostile to us as portrayed in movies. And that goes back to the Twilight Zone, and before, of course, one of the more famous episodes. They had aliens in many episodes, by the way, but this is back in the 1960s, late 50s. They had an episode called To Serve Man, where aliens came and they helped us grow crops and they gave us secrets to our energy needs, and there was peace all over the earth, and they invited us to go back and visit them. And they accidentally left behind a book called To Serve Man, within their own sort of hieroglyphic kind of text. And so they got all the best cryptographers looking at it. And after everyone has already decided, yeah, let's go visit their planet because they're obviously superior to us. And we're all very well fed because the crops are bounty all over the earth. And then they find out that To Serve Man is a cookbook.
That's awesome.
It's a cookbook. So
Great.
Now, it is rumored, I've not studied this, but I've read studies that to a child, it is far worse to be eaten than to just die. So of all the ways to die, they're not even afraid of other ways to die. But the idea of being eaten is particularly horrifying.
I think to anybody.
That's what, well, okay.
Not just
but
children.
especially children. And that's why the fairy tales are always involved.
The Brothers Grimm. The witch eats you. The ogre eats you. The troll
They don't just stab you.
Right.
They don't shoot you. They don't throw you off a cliff. They eat you.
eat you.
And this is terrifying. And I think this is why we, as children, deeply respect T-Rex. Ask any kid who their favorite animal is. It's T-Rex. Because you respect anything that can eat you.
Right.
And then you bring them over to astrophysics and say, what's your favorite object in astrophysics? It's black holes. Because they can eat you.
Well, okay, cool.
All right, so here's the thing. So this evil alien concept, it feels like we are basing this on actual evidence of how we treat each other, rather than on any notion of how aliens would actually treat us. So in other words, we are projecting onto aliens what we already know we do to each other. Because in the history of civilization, dare I even use that word in these examples, you have a highly technologically able culture descends upon a less technologically able culture, particularly in the era of colonization of the world, and it never boded well for the culture that had less technology.
Yeah, whoever was getting visited got screwed. That's all there was to it.
Okay? And we do this to our own species. So I think our fear of aliens derives not from knowledge of how they would behave, but from knowledge of how we would behave. Not with each other, and probably how we would treat other aliens as well. And by the way, Hawking is all worried that aliens might suck our brains out. That concern comes from the fact that when any of us explored the world with high technology ships and came upon a civilization less advanced, it was bad for the less advanced civilization. They either were completely wiped out or subjugated or enslaved or whatever. So I think his fear about aliens is a reflection of his actual knowledge about humans, how humans treat each other. Not real knowledge about how actual aliens would treat us.
Recently, into our solar system, above the, what's it called, the plane of the ecliptic?
Sure.
Okay, where the planets go around.
Yeah, just
from above or below or whatever,
Yeah.
off the axis of where the planets go
If
around.
the planets all do this around the sun.
This thing came from deep space, not in our system, not from your Oort cloud or your Kuiper
First
belt.
time ever an object from interstellar space has been observed to visit our solar system.
Now, this thing's got to be like a ship, right? That looks too much like a spaceship.
This is not a photograph.
What?
This is an artist's rendering. We know it's elongated, and I don't believe this is just.
You don't get to take. What about that? What about that one right there? You hold it, whatever you want.
You got people. You got people.
I got people.
You got
Look
people.
at that.
So,
okay, but it looked like that.
No. So
What do you say? It was elongated.
I'm just saying,
this
cigars don't come journeying into solar system. So
Which is why it has to be an alien
this is
spaceship.
a Cohiba cigar.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah.
Asteroids, we know.
Yeah.
Many of them, if not most of them, are loosely held together rubble piles.
Uh-huh.
And if they come near gravitational sources, tidal forces can stretch them so that they become a stream of particles rather than just one solid mass.
So
And
this thing isn't solid?
It is likely not solid.
What is it?
But the signal we get from it is elongated, but it's probably a rubble pile stretched into that shape. Because you don't get that by nature. You don't get that.
Yeah, that's why it's man-made. Alien made.
You want that to be aliens. That's what. Just fess up. You want that to be aliens.
Of course I want that to be aliens.
Okay, so
that's the whole point of this question that I've never finished.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. This thing came in moving fast.
Yeah.
It has escape velocity, a hyperbolic orbit.
What?
Okay, hyperbolic trajectory.
Okay.
That's why we say hyperbolic.
Yeah.
Hyper is,
Yeah.
It's got more energy than
abolic.
Than abolic, hyperbolic. But it's parabolic, for example.
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Okay, so the reason why it's probably not aliens is its trajectory around the sun was completely determined by gravitational forces.
How do you know?
Because we calculate this. We have this laws of gravity, laws of physics.
Look at this. See this? See that? That trajectory was completely controlled by gravitational forces after it reached its peak up here and came back down, and yet a thinking creature started the process, okay? It doesn't mean, if this came in and you go, oh, gravity did that, but somebody made it go to here, checkmate. Parabolic. That, my friend, is called a taste of your own medicine.
So all I'm saying is, if it's only moving by the force of gravity, then it's not, we presume it doesn't have like rockets and things. If this were aliens in some kind of advanced ship, it would be maneuvering, doing interesting things.
But maybe it already maneuvered on its way in. It was doing a close pass around the sun to get a whip and acceleration, the way they use satellites to go around the back of a planet to whip them out into outer space. You know how we use
it's called slingshot effect. Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to tell me.
That's right. So, okay, maybe the aliens shut off their engines to masquerade as a cosmic object to get a slingshot effect around our star.
Maybe we can't perceive what their engines are, and they have a mode.
It could be, I can just tell you they're off. Whatever they are,
but
they're off. Because because a tennis ball would have that trajectory moving at that speed. That's all.
Is there any chance that's a tennis ball?
No.
So the Chinese would be the first people to know that, right?
No, to hear a signal.
Okay.
That comes over.
Do you think that they would tell the rest of us or not?
Probably not initially, but eventually. No. The thing is, why should they? They built their own damn telescope. That telescope is a mile in circumference, by the way. I want to get a sense of how big it is. It's called the FAST telescope, 500-meter aperture spherical telescope.
Oh,
That's
damn.
the acronym FAST.
But if they know and they don't tell us, man.
They say, we are the chosen ones and everyone else on Earth isn't. Send your ray beams to, I don't know what they're going to do. But there it is. We have another image.
Oh, we're fucked. We got to make this. Why don't we have anything like this?
Because we like to think of ourselves that we're Americans and we over history, we've been reactive to challenges from other countries, not proactive.
And what are we now as far as when it comes to challenges from outer space?
We have nothing that rivals that.
Wow.
At all.
Say aliens show up, right? Is there a society or culture or ethnicity that's best evolved, you think, to handle it?
Scientists.
Really?
Scientists. If an alien came here, go ahead, Theo. If an alien landed right in front of us and said to you, Theo, take me to your leader, are you going to take him to the White House?
No.
No, of course not. Are you going to take him to Congress? No. No.
That's a great question.
That's my point. You would take him to, well, I'm not going to speak for you, but I happen to be a scientist. But if I were not a scientist, I would take him to a scientist.
You would?
Yes. A biologist or a physicist.
Okay, so he's here. What do you do?
What I'm saying is that I have a periodic table of elements that are elements across the universe. I know mathematics and laws of physics that apply across the universe. They got here from across the universe.
So those laws would be totally the same on their planet.
Totally the same. So if you're going to start with a language, like, oh, this is a cup and this is a fork and it's like, this is our elements and this is, we call this aluminum, we call this, and they will know, and they start to develop a common vocabulary so that you can communicate with them. Because they're not going to speak English, nor French, nor Mandarin, none of the above. So if they visit, I'm saying bring them to a scientist. The scientist will know how to think about and pose questions to them.
This is what it says on the ISS feed. It says, previously recorded. What do they not want us to know, Neil Tyson? What are you scientists hiding? It's aliens.
I am not authorized to divulge.
Yes.
No, it's, so it is true that if it were aliens, the first thing they'd take out is your ability to monitor the Earth.
Aha.
So it's consistent with that.
I say to you, aha, Neil Tyson.
No, I'm not saying it is aliens. I'm saying if aliens wanted to, like, first poke into our situation, they would make us blind and not have us see what we're up to.
No, I'm not saying the aliens are doing it. I'm saying that NASA is shutting it down so we can't see the aliens.
Oh.
We're being protected from this knowledge by our own government. Oh. You know, the snake-like UFOs over the western states, that cluster of lights off of the coast of North Carolina.
You think the government is competent enough to pull that off?
Let me tell you.
I'm just saying.
Last week, NASA's chief scientist said NASA is close to making an announcement about life on Mars and that we, the human race, are not ready for it.
Yeah.
Come on, that's saying that we know, but we're not going to tell you.
So first, I'm worried that I'm ready for it, and that might mean I'm not part of the human race, given the logic of that sentence.
So you're ready for it?
Oh, totally.
I'm ready for it, too.
Are you?
Well, here's the thing. If you aren't ready for it, would you know you're not ready for it? Or would you actually find it? If you actually found out there was even microbial life that was native to Mars, maybe the top of your head would just blow off.
If we discovered life elsewhere in the universe, it would signal a change in the human condition that we cannot foresee or imagine.
Because the first thing we'd want to know is it edible?
And what's interesting is you can imagine entire strains of life that are entirely not edible to us. There are amino acids that have, where they have different chirality, so that you don't
I'm
even.
sorry, one second. Stop on that one.
Oh, sorry.
What's chirality?
Sorry, they're molecules where they're different in a mirror than they are as you hold them in your hand. So they're opposite. They're like mirror reflections of each other.
Now, are molecules normally like that?
No, some are.
Are we? Am I chiral?
We are. Yeah.
We're different.
You haven't looked in the mirror lately? You don't know your symmetries?
Yeah, look at that thing. Look at that thing right there.
Yeah, so for example, DNA turns in only one direction, not the other direction. And that's true for all life on Earth.
Which way is it?
It's, if you want to think of this as clockwise up. Yeah.
And it never goes counterclockwise?
No, not for life on Earth, no. Yeah, so these are things that are different in a mirror. So if you find life, it could be, you might want to eat it, but it would have no nutritional value to you, like fiber.
What do you think? What do you think?
It's true. Fiber, don't shoot the messenger, it goes right through you. Don't.
So we're going to find Metamucil on Mars.
No. So astrophysically, it is practically as interesting if we found mats of microbial life as it would if it was like a green alien with a ray gun, because it's life somewhere off of Earth. That's the boundary we'd be crossing in our quest to convert ignorance into knowledge.
Do you think that it would unite humanity?
Good point. So I don't know for sure, but I can tell you, given how tribal we have all been, especially in recent years, where we are finding reasons to separate ourselves and then fight, to find life somewhere else might be the first occasion to unify Earth as a tribe of its own.
Plus, if aliens are on their way, do you know how many telescopes we have pointing up to the night sky?
Right.
Do you realize how much the night sky is being monitored by people other than human beings? Also, do you realize we have cameras pointing downward? You know, Google Earth are downward pointing cameras. Okay? All right? If aliens are landing and taking off, we would have footage.
We have crowdsourced any possible alien invasion on this Earth, because there's 6 billion smartphones in the world, and everybody can take a high-resolution still frame or video camera. We have 1 million people at any moment who are airborne, who can look out their windows.
So that then goes to something we've talked about.
So I'm just saying, I
I
need better evidence than just we don't know what it is, therefore it's alien.
Well, this goes to something that you're so good at, which is you're talking about the empirical and epistemological nature of this era, that unlike, say, 1,000 years ago, where you couldn't get from continent to continent and you didn't have real-time information, you're saying there's more evidence than ever that currently does not support intelligent life out there.
You can live stream anything your camera sees. Because in the old days, what happened to the camera? Well, the alien zapped it, so it didn't work. You can live, thanks to the ACLU and police conduct, we can live stream whatever's in front of us, all right? And so in doing so, if an alien walked towards you, that would be viral. Look, cat videos go viral. If I have a high resolution image of an alien walking out of a spaceship,
let's go.
You'd be or the janitor at Area 51, get a shot. Yeah, he'd lose his job the next day, but it'd be the wealthiest, most famous janitor there ever was.
So are you more convinced now than before that there's not current alien life out there?
That's a perfect way to say it. I would say our capacity to detect alien life with the crowdsourcing of eyes on Earth tells me that it's less convincing than ever before. Correct. And just because you see something in the sky and you don't know what it is, it does not mean that you know what it is. Yeah. Think about it. People do this. Say, wow, lights in the sky. I don't know what it is. It must therefore be aliens visiting from another planet. You just said you don't know what it is. That's the end of the conversation. By the way, go out, keep checking, grab them. I don't want to stop you. Go.
No, I know you're not stopping anyway.
Get the aliens.
With the UFOs, the thing is, no matter what, they have already made up their mind. We have been visited. There is life outside of our solar system. Aliens are among us. Crop circles, all this stuff. And my thing is, like, if it weren't for movies, none of this crap would exist. All of this crap comes out of movies. It's Hollywood. Hollywood has fueled our obsession with UFOs and alien life, and I really believe that.
There is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity.
I don't think the American people need to worry about aliens.
I've not been convinced that, life exists elsewhere.
The NORAD commander refused to rule out that the 3 most recent objects were aliens.
It could be aliens, it could be balloons, or it could be alien balloons.
There is no evidence of alien life on Earth.
A very mainstream discussion of extraterrestrial life because of the objects that are just technically unidentified who have been shot down by the U.S. military. The actual White House of the United States engaging with this question. When you hear people say, because they're shooting things out of the sky, could they possibly be alien life, you say?
I would say if it remains unidentified, there's a chance it could be. However, just think it through. If aliens crossed the galaxy in whatever is their spaceship and arrived at Earth just to throw some balloons across North America, I'm thinking, really? Really? And even if the aliens did do that, are those the aliens you want to meet? They cannot be interesting aliens if the best they've got are some floaties, cylindrical and octagonal floaties that any F-22 fighter jet can just knock out of the sky.
All right, so there is some data out there. Our military has said that these UAPs, that they've got visual sightings that match the radar sightings, that match the infrared camera that locks onto them, and these things are doing things that they're saying we do not have the material science or the propulsion to do any of this. How?
That's the U in unidentified.
Continue. I agree, but does it excite you?
Yes.
That no one can explain what's going on?
Always. And the research scientist lives on that frontier. We're looking out in the universe. I can't explain that. Bring in some more data. Get some more people, someone smarter than me. We live in the world of the unexplained.
It's time to get more and better data. Okay, so now, in science, do you know why science exists? Because the human sensory system sucks. That's why science exists.
That makes sense.
All right? We can see bands of light that your retina cannot. We can see things dimmer than the sensitivity of your cones can pick up, the cones in your eye. We can, the rods and cones, right, for detecting color and and brightness. Those fail when you're trying to see things that are dim and outside of the range of what we call visible light. And this is stuff we didn't even know existed until scientists discovered it. We discovered X-rays and ultraviolet and gamma rays and radio waves and microwaves. That's all light. Okay, we have telescopes honed into those windows to the universe, and we drink in these phenomena and then convert them to ways that our senses can then detect them. We make a photo, we have chart recorders, this sort of thing. Point is, the advance of science and civilization with it came about primarily because we invented machines to replace our sensory system, because it fails so badly. And look, why do we have whole books on, what do you call them, on optical illusions, right?
Right.
Those are fun. Nobody doesn't love a good optical illusion. Right. And what is an optical illusion? It's, there's a line, and it's simple, right? It's simple line drawing on a white page. Oh, is that line bigger than the other one? I don't know. Are they the same size? Oh my gosh. Look how easy it is to fool you. And this is just a simple line drawing. Now I'm going to have something complicated in twilight, where in a sky where you've never seen, and now I'm expecting you to give me an accurate account of what just happened. No. So in science, eyewitness testimony is the lowest form of evidence there is. In fact, it's so low we basically don't accept it.
Wow.
So when you see people say, this was a Navy pilot who's trained and he's a credible witness for what he saw,
you're saying
species check.
You're saying that guy is just as much a dumbass as anybody standing on the ground. That Navy pilot or not, being a human being, he's susceptible to the same perception bias that anybody else is.
Perception bias. And that's not purposeful, you know.
Right.
They're not trying to, it's just the consequence of the human being trying to make sense of their world. And when things don't make sense, we have the urge to make it make sense so that we can think about it in some way that's consistent with our life experience. So I've had people say, I saw this bright light in the sky. It was huge. So no, they meant it was just bright, because the vocabulary is. I saw this light and it was a few inches above Marty's Deli. What do you mean a few inches? Was it an angle? It was in the sky. So even our capacity to retell things is compromised because we're human. All right. So all I'm asking for is, among the 6 billion images and videos uplifted to the internet every day that are high resolution, It'd be nice if a few of them had an alien getting out of their spacecraft. Or you going up to greet the alien. Give me some footage of that, some high-res videos. But you don't have that. What you have is, lately, fuzzy Navy video. Right. Monochromatic. And so, by the way, we as scientists, we'd love to meet the aliens. I have no problems with this. We just need better evidence than your credible witness. I just need better evidence than your fuzzy video. But anyhow, I'm ready for them. Bring them on. And it just seems to me if we'd be visited, more than the Navy would notice it.
I want to talk about a cosmic discovery that we've been dealing with this summer. There's a lot of talk about aliens, congressional hearings here and in Mexico. What are your reactions to the hearings? We had public congressional hearings about the possibility that we have an unexplained phenomenon happening on Earth that should be investigated by the government that some people are saying is evidence of aliens.
Yeah, so there's a lot, the universe brims with mystery. Just because you can't explain something doesn't mean you can explain it. That's what.
One more time. I'm not an astrophysicist, so you might need to say that sentence again, exactly as you just said it.
If you see,
don't you dare rewrite it,
something
Mr. AI.
in the sky that you cannot explain,
yeah,
and you call it a UFO or the rebranded government version UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. Who are they fooling? They're talking about UFOs.
Right.
Once you say, I don't know what it is, you don't have the argument rights to then say, I do know what it is. It's visiting aliens from outer space. You just said, I don't know what I'm looking at. I can't explain it. It's doing things I don't understand. That's really the end of your sentence. And so at that point, you say, let's investigate it further.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind investigating it further. Go right ahead. An alien that can cross the galaxy, we're worms to them, okay? I mean, just think to yourself what this is. Oh, we're going to put this in there. We think it's going to work, and we hope they don't shoot it down with their jets. I just give aliens more credit.
You're saying, because when you
know another one? People say, oh, the aliens is a crash landing site over here. Really? Once again, the aliens crossed the galaxy and crashed?
So you're making a point that is scientific in nature, which is you're reminding everyone that if they got here beyond what we can see, then they probably traveled light years. They would be some different level.
A whole other level than sticking floaties in our atmosphere. That's all. Plus, we have crowdsourced any possible alien invasion on this Earth. Because there's 6 billion smartphones in the world, and everybody can take a high-resolution still frame or video camera. We have 1 million people at any moment who are airborne, who can look out their windows.
So that then goes to something we've talked about.
So I'm just saying,
I
need better evidence than just we don't know what it is, therefore it's alien.
Well, this goes to something that you're so good at, which is you're talking about the empirical and epistemological nature of this era, that unlike, say, 1,000 years ago where you couldn't get from continent to continent, you didn't have real-time information, you're saying there's more evidence than ever that currently does not support intelligent life out there.
You can live stream anything your camera sees. Because in the old days, what happened to the camera? Well, the alien zapped it, so it didn't work. You can thanks to the ACLU and police conduct, we can live stream whatever's in front of us, all right? And so in doing so, if an alien walked towards you, that would be viral. Look, cat videos go viral. If I have a high-resolution image of an alien walking out of a spaceship,
let's go.
You'd be or the janitor at Area 51, get a shot. Yeah, he'd lose his job the next day, but it'd be the wealthiest, most famous janitor there ever was.
So are you more convinced now than before that there's not current alien life out there?
That's a perfect way to say it. I would say our capacity to detect alien life with the crowdsourcing of eyes on Earth tells me that it's less convincing than ever before. Correct. And just because you see something in the sky and you don't know what it is, it does not mean that you know what it is. Yeah. Think about it. People do this. Say, wow, lights in the sky. I don't know what it is. It must therefore be aliens visiting from another planet. You just said you don't know what it is. That's the end of the conversation. By the way, go out, keep checking, grab them. I don't want to stop you. Go.
No, I know you're not stopping anyway.
Get the aliens.
In conclusion,
bring them into the town hall.
In conclusion, no to predictions, no to aliens, yes to fusion someday.
Yes.
Thank
One thing that a lot of people are talking about lately, and NASA even now has a head of UFOs, right? Congress has a hearing on UFOs. And so people are talking about UFOs and aliens in a more serious way than being on the front of the National Enquirer, the way it used to be. So a Mexican journalist displayed bodies of two supposed non-human beings in front of the Congress in Mexico, okay? Each with three-fingered hands and elongated heads.
Well, first of all, I like what they did in Mexico. They had what they claimed are alien bodies. They brought it out in front of their Congress. That's better than leaving them in a locked box and saying you and no one else can get to see them. So that's a start. But in science, a new truth, an objective truth, is only established when multiple labs can analyze whatever your claim is. When we brought rocks back from the moon, we distributed them to all the labs of the world. So everybody participated in that discovery. So here, bring out samples to others and let other people, skeptical people in other labs, test this. They'll either verify it or falsify it, and then we move on.
What was your reaction when you saw the images?
I was surprised because if they're from another planet, why do they look so human? They have two eyes, a nose, a mouth, shoulders, hips, femur, a rib. Why? Most life on Earth shares DNA in common with us. It looks nothing like us. So how could it somebody? So that was my first thought. Second, any corpses or mummified remains, there is no bone in your nose. It's an open hole into your skull. These aliens have intact noses, okay? If indeed that is their nose, okay? I don't know for sure. That's odd after 2,000 years to still have a nose with two cavities in it. So that's odd, but they should share it. That's how we determine what is true and what is not.
They did, and here we are.
Oh, I love this. I love these. There were two of them. There was two of them.
Sure, you always need a spare.
Yeah.
In case the dog gets to the first one.
And apparently one of them had eggs inside and stuff.
What?
Yeah, so I love, they're like 3 feet tall. They're like this big.
Sure.
This is in Mexico. And so what's interesting to me as a scientist is you have someone coming forth with aliens, mummified aliens. I'm saying that's better than what happened in our Congress where the guy has aliens in a locked box, okay?
But he can't tell you where they are or who has them.
So that's not useful to scientists, okay? If you have a discovery, you want to share it. When we went to the moon and we brought back moon rocks, we shared that with the world. That's what science is. It's not what one person says about what they did in their lab. It's what other people say after they double check you. And so
okay.
They roll out the aliens. They roll out the aliens. They say, that's a start. Now, never mind.
How is that a start?
Because they're not left in the locked box. Here's what's interesting, okay?
Yeah.
He's a very humanoid.
Yeah.
Most life on Earth, with whom we have DNA in common, does not look humanoid. We have DNA in common with a banana, with oak trees, with worms, with lobsters. For an alien from another planet to be this humanoid,
like what?
It's got a head. Hold on, I don't know which way your camera is.
There it is.
Okay, so it's got a head, shoulders, arms, legs, hips, ears, nose, eyes, mouth, legs, feet, fingers. That's humanoid. Okay, fine, but you're really going to get a humanoid thing from another planet with another origin story than what we have here on Earth? That's odd. If you want to make it humanoid, put it back. Okay, if you want to make it humanoid, do you realize there is no bone under your nose? So all mummified humans, you see the cavity into your skull. This alien has a nose.
Yeah, because it's an alien nose, and maybe they have a bone, Neil. Okay, that's science.
Okay, so what you do now is you give it to the labs and let other people investigate it. That's a start. I love it.
Well, let's talk about
I love me some aliens. Don't get me wrong.
I would love it to be true.
By the way, just a few days ago, I received an official invitation to Mexico to look at these two 2 alien bodies personally. An official invitation. And I declined for a very simple reason. But I'd love to see the aliens. But if you're going to make an official invitation to a scientist, that invitation should not go to an astrophysicist. It needs to go to a biologist. In fact, it needs to go to 10 biologists, biochemists. Invite them, 10 of them, 5 of them, more than 3, okay? They all come and they each take home a sample of the bodies, of the alien bodies. That's how you do this, because that's how science works.